The people built that kid up to put him on my level. Once again, there will never be a fighter that's on my level.
Я був на тренуванні, у мене було тренування, вибачаюсь, будь ласка.
Floyd says fine. They go for the embrace. Referee Chuck Cortez is not there. Call.
Jay, will they turn into a nightmare here? And Wembley, big one from Usyk.
Floyd Mayweather doesn't just throw punches in the ring, he throws verbal jabs outside of it. And this time, one landed cleanly on the chin of Oleksandr Usyk. In a comment that stirred the boxing world, Mayweather downplayed Usyk's legacy, calling him good but not great, and implying the Ukrainian heavyweight is overhyped for doing what champions have done for years. But Usyk didn't just take the hit and move on. The unified heavyweight champion responded like a man who's fought giants, measured, precise, and sharp enough to cut without raising his voice. This isn't just a clash between two icons, it's a collision of philosophies. On one side, Mayweather, the undefeated master of both the sport and its business, a man who built an empire on defense, timing, and unmatched self-promotion. On the other, Usyk, the quiet storm, the technician who rose from cruiserweight to heavyweight glory through humility, footwork, and raw skill. Mayweather framed his words as critique, but Usyk turned them into a quiet rebellion, refusing to be defined by someone else's legacy, especially one forged in a different weight class in a different world. This isn't just a personal jab, it's a generational, cultural, and symbolic standoff. And if you think Usyk's going to let it slide, you don't know Usyk.
The first undisputed heavyweight champion this century. Can Oleksandr Usyk pull it off?
It all began with what seemed like a typical Floyd Mayweather moment, confident, calculated, and just controversial enough. During an interview, when asked about the heavyweight division, Floyd didn't bring up Tyson Fury or Anthony Joshua. Instead, he zeroed in on Usyk, and the boxing world took notice. Usyk's a solid fighter, Floyd said with that trademark smirk, but people act like he's doing something new. He's not the first to unify belts. He's not the first to move up in weight. And honestly, if he were American, he wouldn't be getting this kind of hype. No direct insult, no knockout blow, just vintage Mayweather subtext, vague enough to avoid blame, sharp enough to sting. In just a few words, he questioned Usyk's accolades, poked at the media narrative, and pulled the race and nationality card. For fans who followed the sport closely, this wasn't just a hot take. It was Floyd planting a flag, protecting his place in history, and challenging the idea that someone else, especially a foreigner, could reach legendary status without going through his gatekeeping. Was it ego? Strategy? A subtle reminder of who built the modern boxing blueprint? Maybe all of the above. But one thing's clear, Mayweather's words had purpose. And while most would dodge the drama, Usyk walked right into eye.
Male Sport Boxing travelled to Spain to exclusively watch the champ in camp. He's looking better than ever, and you're about to see why.
When Oleksandr Usyk finally responded, he didn't come out swinging with insults or bravado, he didn't need to. His reply was quiet, direct, and devastating in its honesty. Speaking through a translator in a Ukrainian interview, Usyk said, "Floyd was a great boxer. But greatness isn't just about money or fame. It's about who you fought and what you fought for. I fight for my country. I fight for my people. I don't need to talk. I show it in the ring." There was no theatrics, just surgical truth. Usyk could have taken shots at Floyd's exhibition fights where the cherry-picked opponents critics love to cite. But he didn't. Instead, he elevated the conversation, reminding everyone that his journey isn't about brand deals or pay-per-view numbers. Usyk's path has been through war zones, not wardrobes. He left his family during an actual conflict to train and defend titles. His life isn't about flash, it's about sacrifice. And in just a few words, he didn't just defend himself. He held a mirror up to Mayweather's legacy. Because when you strip away the undefeated record in billion-dollar empire, what's left? Who risked more? Who fought for something greater than boxing? Usyk didn't clap back. He made Mayweather look small without even raising his voice. Floyd Mayweather doesn't speak without purpose. Every comment is calculated. So when he chose to target Oleksandr Usyk, a man who's never insulted him, never fought him, and never even shared a weight class, it begged one question: why? Some believe it was classic Floyd, brand protection. Usyk's rise, especially after beating Anthony Joshua and becoming the unified heavyweight champion, was getting loud, maybe too loud. Loud enough to creep into GOAT conversations. Loud enough to challenge Mayweather's spot atop boxing's throne. Usyk's resume was beginning to look riskier. Cleaner. His achievements less manufactured. That could have triggered Floyd's instinct to reassert his dominance, to remind the world that legacies, especially in boxing, still run through him. Others see a deeper play, a promotional move. Mayweather's loyalty lies with his own stable, including stars like Gervonta Davis. A rising figure like Usyk, commanding global attention, could disrupt the spotlight Mayweather works hard to control. Diminishing Usyk's acclaim might be less about rivalry and more about protecting the brand. And then there's the unsaid truth, the contrast. Usyk is everything Floyd isn't. Stoic, not flashy. War-tested, not undefeated. Humble, not headline-chasing. Mayweather is boxing's showman, Usyk is its soul. One trains in Versace, the other trains in the trenches. Maybe Floyd saw that contrast and felt it, the growing admiration for a fighter who doesn't care about showbiz, who represents sacrifice over spectacle. Maybe that admiration threatens the very foundation of the empire Floyd built.
Because if he can slow you down to his pace, there's no way in the world you're going to beat him. I don't care how good you think you are. Manny Pacquiao's third fight.
On paper, comparing Oleksandr Usyk and Floyd Mayweather is like comparing fire and ice, both lethal, both legendary, but born of very different elements. Mayweather built his legacy on perfection, 50-0, titles in 5 weight classes, a master of defense who turned ring generalship into high art. He didn't just win, he controlled every moment, every narrative, and every dollar. Floyd turned boxing into a billion-dollar brand. But Usyk? He's crafting something just as monumental, only without the gloss. Usyk went undisputed at cruiserweight, an achievement reserved for only the elite of the elite. Then, without hesitation, he jumped into the shark tank of the heavyweight division and outclassed Anthony Joshua twice. He didn't scrape by, he dismantled him with movement, timing, and sheer will. Mayweather calculated his risks, fought on his terms, and mastered the timing of every fight. Usyk ran headfirst into danger, asked for the toughest tests, and welcomed chaos. Where Floyd curated a career, Usyk waged a campaign. One built legacy by avoiding damage. The other embraced damage to build something deeper. And while Mayweather crafted an image with lights and lenses, Usyk fights as his nation burns, representing something far bigger than himself. He doesn't need the crowd's love, the media's spotlight, or the brand deals. His story is written in grit, sacrifice, and silence. So when Floyd throws shade on Usyk's accomplishments, maybe it's not really about Usyk at all. Maybe it's Floyd trying to protect his own throne. Because deep down, even Mayweather must know, true legacy isn't just about wins. It's about what you risked, what you endured, and what you stood for. And in that arena, Usyk's legacy might be quieter, but it hits a whole lot harder.
Do this, walk, run, boxing, defend it, eat, sleep, blah 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 blah.
Boxing has never just been about punches. It's about identity, power, and the stories we attach to the men who step through the ropes. And this unexpected feud between Mayweather and Usyk exposed something much bigger than personal jabs. It peeled back the layers on a deep philosophical divide within the sport itself. Floyd Mayweather is the face of boxing capitalism. He mastered the game, not just inside the ring but outside of it. Records mattered. Pay-per-view numbers mattered. Every move was a calculated step toward building an empire where wealth was synonymous with greatness. He didn't just fight opponents, he fought for market control. Usyk, on the other hand, couldn't be more different. No flash. No bragging. No designer jets or choreographed drama. Just prayer, training, and war updates. He's a fighter from another era, one who doesn't need attention to validate his greatness. For boxing purists, Usyk is a throwback to what the sport used to be, about honor, discipline, and heart. So when Mayweather dismisses Usyk, it's not just critique. It's a clash between two belief systems. One rooted in fame, the other in focus. One in branding, the other in burden. Mayweather fought to remain untouchable. Usyk fights like someone who already knows pain, real pain, and uses it as armor. This isn't America versus Ukraine. This is Flash versus Foundation. And the real question is, which version of boxing survives? The one that sells the loudest tickets or the one that earns respect through silence and sacrifice?
Easy. Easy. Too easy. It's too easy. Too easy. At 48, too easy. There you go.
The second these clips hit social media, the boxing world lit up. Some fans rushed to defend Mayweather, calling him the greatest tactician of his era, a genius who earned every dime and decision. But for many others, the reaction was swift, emotional, and brutally honest. Usyk didn't deserve that. Twitter flooded with praise for Usyk's calm, his courage, and the way he clapped back, not with ego, but with quiet conviction. On Reddit, users broke it down with forensic detail, comparing resumes, division by division. One thread highlighted how Usyk cleaned out cruiserweight, then stepped into heavyweight without even asking for a warm-up fight. He went straight for Joshua. Twice. Meanwhile, Floyd, brilliant as he was, never dared to fight at a weight class that wasn't tailor-made for him. One user nailed it: Floyd fights smart. Usyk fights dangerous. There's a difference. Podcasts and analysts joined in. Some said Floyd was just being Floyd, throwing verbal punches to stay relevant. Others speculated that he actually felt threatened. After all, here comes a fighter who's earning global respect without trash talk, without hype, and without the empire. Even fellow fighters chimed in, calling Usyk a throwback warrior, no PR machine, no cherry-picked bouts, just blood and resolve. And suddenly, the question flipped. No longer, is Usyk worthy? Now it was, why is Floyd throwing shade at someone who's already proven everything in the ring? And maybe that's the answer. Because if you're still punching down in retirement, maybe it's not about legacy. Maybe it's about defending your reflection. Usyk didn't just hold his ground, he shifted it. And now, every time Floyd speaks, fans are listening a little differently. Because once you go at Usyk and get that kind of response, the story doesn't belong to you anymore.
My place is a ring. For me, when I step in the ring, it doesn't matter what's going on. Me, my opponent, and the referee.
In the end, this wasn't just a soundbite war. It was a snapshot of boxing's identity crisis. Mayweather, the king of controlled chaos, still playing chess in a game he supposedly retired from. And Usyk, the quiet storm, walking through weight classes and war zones with nothing but grit, discipline, and purpose. Floyd's comment wasn't meant to elevate Usyk, it was meant to downplay him. But instead, it did the opposite. It reminded fans of what makes Usyk so rare. He doesn't chase headlines. He doesn't manufacture drama. And yet, somehow, when he enters a room, respect follows. Floyd may have tried to put Usyk in his place, but Usyk quietly redefined what that place even means. Because legacy isn't just about being undefeated. It's about being undeniable. Mayweather's was built on 0 losses. Usyk's is built on 0 fear. And if Floyd thinks he can out-talk that, he may have just picked the one fighter on earth who doesn't need to say a word to win the entire conversation.